Rod Stewart has cancelled his upcoming farewell tour dates, and this time, the reason is a heart procedure. The 81-year-old rock legend was forced to pull out of a performance on August 9th, and days later came the announcement that the remaining dates of his one last-time farewell tour would also be cancelled. So what happened to Rod Stewart? How serious is the situation? And does this mean his farewell tour could actually be coming to an end sooner than expected? The latest news is that Stewart underwent a successful coronary stent procedure, and doctors have advised him to take 4 weeks away from performing so he can fully recover. And that 4-week break changes everything. Stewart had been scheduled to continue performing across North America, including upcoming shows in Las Vegas and other dates connected to his farewell tour. For fans who bought tickets expecting to see one of rock music's most recognizable voices on stage, the announcement came as a major disappointment. But there is an important distinction here. Rod Stewart has not announced that he is permanently retiring from music. His team says the procedure was successful, doctors are pleased with his recovery, and Stewart has already returned to his normal daily activities. The current problem is that his doctors want him to step away from the stage while he regains full fitness. Stewart himself has tried to reassure fans. He said he is already feeling better and is very much on the mend. He also thanked the doctors, nurses, and medical staff who cared for him. But then came the part that revealed just how frustrating this must be for him. He apologized to fans for missing the shows and said he was deeply disappointed that he could not perform. That reaction makes sense when you look at what this tour represents. One Last Time was supposed to be a celebration of an extraordinary career, decades of music, huge audiences, and songs that became part of popular culture. And Stewart has never exactly behaved like someone eager to disappear from the stage. Even at 81, he has continued performing in front of enormous crowds. But the events of the past few months have provided a very different picture. Earlier in the summer, Stewart cancelled performances after health problems affected his schedule. Then, during a June performance in Utah, he needed oxygen on stage after reportedly becoming lightheaded. At the time, there was still an obvious determination to keep going. And that is perhaps the most revealing part of this entire story. Rod Stewart's career has always been associated with energy. But age eventually changes the calculation. At 81, the question is no longer simply whether Rod Stewart wants to perform. The question is whether his body can continue handling the demands of touring at the level he expects from himself. And that may be what makes this latest cancellation different. The coronary procedure itself was described as routine and successful. There has been no announcement saying that Stewart's career is over. But the fact that doctors have specifically advised him to take 4 weeks to recuperate and regain full fitness shows that returning to the stage immediately is not an option. And the timing could hardly be more significant. This was supposed to be part of a farewell chapter. Not just another tour. Not simply another series of concerts. This was One Last Time. That title carries enormous emotional weight. Because when an artist reaches this stage of a career, fans don't just buy a ticket to hear the songs. They are buying the chance to see the artist one more time. That is why cancellations surrounding a farewell tour feel different. There is always the possibility that the postponed show will never become another show. For Stewart, however, there is currently no confirmation that this is the end. In fact, his own message suggests the opposite. He has said he wants to get back on stage and have a good time with his fans again. That is encouraging. But it is also important not to turn that optimism into something Stewart himself has not said. He has not announced a permanent retirement because of this procedure. He has not said he will never perform again. Right now, the confirmed situation is much simpler. Rod Stewart underwent a successful coronary stent procedure. His doctors want him to rest for 4 weeks. His upcoming tour dates have been cancelled, and he hopes to return to the stage once he has recovered. The cancelled dates include performances that had been planned in Las Vegas, along with other North American dates, meaning fans who were expecting to see Stewart during this part of the tour will now have to wait for further information. And that leaves one big question hanging over the entire story. Will Rod Stewart actually get his final farewell tour? Nobody can answer that with certainty yet. The immediate priority is his recovery. 4 weeks may sound like a short break after more than 6 decades in the music business. But for an 81-year-old performer, it is a reminder that the final chapter of a career cannot always be controlled by a tour schedule. Stewart has spent most of his adult life moving from one stage to another. Now, for perhaps one of the first times in this farewell chapter, the stage has to wait for him. And maybe that is the most important thing for fans to understand. The headline says tour cancelled. But the story underneath it is not necessarily about a career ending. It is about a legendary performer being forced to stop, recover, and put his health ahead of the next concert. For someone who has spent decades telling audiences to keep moving, this may be one moment when Rod Stewart simply has to slow down. And if his recovery continues as his medical team hopes, the next chapter may still have a stage waiting for him. For now, though, the lights are temporarily off. Rod Stewart's one last time farewell tour is on hold, and fans are waiting to see whether this really is just a pause, or whether it marks the beginning of the final goodbye.